Did I finish this? I think I did. Oh, great. This is perfect, actually. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi. This live is a bit random, but I'm going to be discussing my book, Calm as You, based on the Noble Eightfold Path. I'm also going to be discussing some other really cool, really cool books that I have. Now, I already on my YouTube page, I have referenced the Tao Te Ching. This is Tao Te Ching is a Western version of terminology for the same Eastern, which is the Tao Te Ching. So on my TikTok page, I referenced the Tao Te Ching, and someone with Scrivener Books reached out to me and asked me if I would like to review this one. So this one is new for me, and I'm really excited because I absolutely love the Tao Te Ching. So what I am going to do is not really compare them. There are so many copies of this book, people making their own copies of it, and really just, talking about how it resonates with them. So I'm going to use this gentleman. Now, this gentleman here, he is pretty popular because he's done some really great films and shows. So I'll be talking about that some more as well. But I am talking about the Noble Eightfold Path, and so what I did was I went through my Tao Te Ching, which, look, guys, it's a book. It's a book, but if you haven't read this, you should. It's amazing. What I've done is I've gone through the Tao Te Ching of Lao Tzu. Wait a minute, where are we at? Okay, there we go. I colored Lao Tzu because why not? I am an artist, so for me, it's important that, as I'm thinking about the text that I'm writing and as it resonates with me, I'll just go in and make little notes or, add a little color. Just helps me, my brain. So in here, today we were actually talking about right concentration. So I'm just going to go through and look for any notes I have of right concentration, but I've also made notes on different verses that resonate with different parts of the Noble Eightfold Path. And I'm so sorry if the lighting is bad. Um, so I've kind of just written, which one they go with. So this one, for example, I wrote right meditation. It says this book is no different from other books in that it is a dead thing. But when you can bring it to life, if you put it into practice, what is written in it, right? You can bring it to life if you put into practice what is written in the book. So that would fall under right meditation. It could also fall under right action. Again, another reason I really, really like the Noble Eightfold Path. It all goes together. Right action. We are encouraged to follow the example of the master who learns by unlearning. Thus, she is able to understand all things. We are encouraged to follow the example of the master who learns by unlearning. That is right action. So when you think of right action and learning by unlearning, how do they correlate? How do they go together? How are they connected? What is it that an individual has learned that maybe they need to unlearn? I had that same exact issue when I formally left religion a few years ago. I had to unlearn everything that I learned, everything that I was taught. Um, this doesn't necessarily mean that what I was taught was all wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean that, there was some horrible entity taking up space in my brain. What I learned was that the way I learned, the way I gathered the information, the way I took the information in, maybe wasn't accurate, maybe wasn't the most, what's the word? Efficient way of learning. I'll give you an example. I'm 44 years old. I'll be 45 soon. So when you're my age and you've had a lot of things put into your head, maybe they don't all fit together. Maybe they're just kind of, different things that are kind of just barely hanging on and kind of all stuck together, but not in any real, look at my happy sign, bro. It's okay, I'm keeping it. But they're not all fitting together. So it's taking up space, it's taking up unnecessary space. There's empty space that's not filled in that really should be. I'm using an example because a friend of mine who's a humanities professor uses examples like this all the time. Now imagine I have a cup and I have several cups. And if I stack all the cups together, now I'm just taking up less space. I still have the product, I still have the ideas, I still have the understanding. It just all fits neatly together. And guys, we're on one planet. So essentially, it should all fit together. So I had a lot of gaps in my understanding and in my learning that I needed to go back through. I needed to go back through what is this? What is the foundation of all of this, of who I am, of what I understand and believe? And that is what the Noble Eightfold Path has done for me. And so now I'm able to take in more information information that I couldn't recall to you. I couldn't recall to you today. I couldn't recall to you next week. I'll take in more information and it all stacks neatly together. And when it goes together, you're able to just kind of push it back in there and keep it moving. The problem is when things don't fit together. Now things don't make sense and you spend a lot more time. You spend a lot more time trying to figure out what can't be figured out. So you do have to learn by unlearning. And only once you are willing to go within yourself and even understand what it is that you know and you don't know, can you start that process. So to me, it's been extremely beneficial and I highly recommend anybody can do it. It doesn't matter the age. Now, a sage or a master, according to the Tao Te Ching, is one who, having become unlearned by emptying him or herself of all concepts and opinions, is filled with the Tao, and is like a newborn child. So here's one that goes with right thought. Right thought. By having desire, you can only see what is visibly real. By having desire, you can only see what is visibly real. In the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha discussed that life is suffering, that at the end of the day, we should all just come to the acceptance and the understanding that life will be suffering. If you are here on this planet, eventually you will get sick. Eventually you will age. Eventually you will pass on. And that is part of life. And therefore life is suffering. And our suffering, another word that is also used interchangeably with suffering, is desire. So when it says here, and this is the correlation between the Tao Te Ching and the Noble Eightfold Path, is that by having desire, you can only see what is visibly real. Desire is almost like shades or a blinder that we put on, or like horses use that keep them from getting distracted. What happens is our desires, we end up being led by them, the things we see, and then it will trigger some emotions. It'll trigger some memories inside of us. And then usually it just ends up keeping us stuck in a cycle, right? That we end up having to go back through because we're trying again to understand. And that's our nature. That's our higher nature. That's our higher, whatever it is, our connection to the creator, the most higher, whatever we're calling it today. It's real. And so by having desire, you can only see what's real. And it says, as the master freely admits, as the master, again, it's of self. As the master freely admits, I am different from ordinary people. I nurse from the great mother's Tao breasts. Okay? Once we have found the mother, we begin to know what her child should be. When we know we are the mother's child, we begin to guard the qualities of the mother within us. And that's deep. That's deep. I'm just going to read it. Once we have found the mother, we begin to know what her children should be. When we know we are the mother's child, we begin to guard the qualities of the mother in us. This one is big. This one is huge. But I'm just going to go with my brain because my brain is going there. We live in a society where we are taught to devalue motherhood. We are taught to devalue the feminine. We are taught to elevate the masculine. We are taught that the father is the end all be all, utmost, highest. We even refer to our creator as he, by and large. And I think that we shouldn't. I think that is misleading because the creator would have to be both male, female. But to take it even further, when this discusses, once we have found the mother, I want to just say that I want you to just for a second think for yourself and imagine that we are talking about your own mother. Once we have found the mother, when you are born into this world, right, the first instinct that you have is to find the mother's breast, right, to nurse for life. That is a simple, very basic human condition. We do it without thinking of it. I'll post it, I'll try to post it in the show here, but there's a YouTube video on my, Instagram video on my Instagram page that shows a brand newborn baby laying on the mother's chest and rooting its way over to the breast. This is very natural. So once we have found the mother, and I really believe finding the mother means finding the truth. Once we have found the mother, you know who your mother is. You know who that person is that raised you or maybe did not, that person you defend, or maybe that person you had to walk away from, but you know who your mother is. And no one on this planet was born without a mothering part of their DNA, part of their spirit. It's just nature. I mean, even the animal kingdom has the same thing. So, but once we have found the mother, we begin to know what her children should be. So then what happens if we don't find a mother? What happens if we don't know who our mother is? What happens if we don't know where we come from, who we are? So the mother to me in this instance is just really the root of who we are. Um, when we know, we are the mother's child, woo, they're preaching now. When we know we are the mother's child, right? We begin to guard the qualities of the mother within us. This stuff is deep. This stuff is really, really deep. And it definitely takes a special type of mind to to get that. Let's see. Right effort. So right effort is a part of the Noble Eightfold Path. Another part, again, it's 8 of them. Right effort happens to be the one that yours truly struggled the most with. And it's still going to be one of my largest struggles, biggest struggles, hurdles to this day. And I have fully come to the understanding that I may go to my grave trying to attain that, but it's okay. As long as I'm here, that's what I'm here for. So let's talk about right effort. And I'll just go back just before it to give you a little bit of context. According to the Tao Te Ching, the best leaders are the people who you hardly know exist. I'll say it again. The best leaders are the people hardly know exist. We can stop there. The best leaders are the people hardly know exist. This wipes out everything that's going on politically right now in the United States and pretty much around the globe. Our politicians are the loudest, they are the boldest, they are the most bombastic. They also um, they care very little about us each as individuals. So when we think about our leadership and the people that we have in place, and they're always running around having to raise millions and billions of dollars just to win an election, it should cause us to think. It should cause pause within us. um, so right effort. Governing a large country is like frying small fish. Too much poking spoils the meat. Governing a large country is like frying small fish. Too much poking spoils the meat. I likened this to right effort because it's an active, process. I could have also used right action with this, but for me, with effort, it resonated a little bit more. Um, so let's look at today. Let's look at today's society. Our government having its hands in every single aspect of what a human being does and what a citizen does is just not right. It's just not right. I should have authority over myself. I alone am connected to the source, to the creator, directly. Directly. I don't need a governing body telling me what to do. But that's what we have. That's how it's been for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years. And this is that the reason is control. The reason is, we understand that. But our government should just be guaranteeing certain basic human rights, like access to clean air, access to clean water, access to electricity, access to internet, access to housing. Not just access, it should be provided as a human being in a government, in a planet that has endless resources. And I know what I mean when I say endless. They are finite, but there's more than enough to go around. We should be allowing people to manage their own day-to-day lives and what is necessary for them. And then the government just kind of sit back and provide the overall services. So when we see these elections and all the vitriol and all of the fighting and the back and forth, and I'm on this side and I'm on that side, it's all just distractions. We don't need the government to have as much hands-on as they do. And I really believe that most people agree with that. Let's see what we have next. I mean, I went through and it so resonates all across the board. Right action. This one goes with right action. So non-action, I'll put it here. Non-action, or what is also known as wu wei. Wu wei. The Tao Te Ching tells us that true sayings seem contradictory. True sayings seem contradictory. And there are possibly few sayings more contradictory than those relating to the principle of non action or wu wei. For example, act by not acting, do by not doing. Let me say that again. Act by not acting, and do by not doing. That would be right action. Let's make it applicable to today. Have you ever heard that some things are just best left unsaid? All right. So, which it does go with right speech, but we're going back to action because it's equally as important. Um, Sometimes just being present is all that is required. There's many situations where you're not needed to say anything. You don't have to have any real sort of reaction to a situation other than just your physically being there and your presence. But this does apply in so many different ways. So just let that resonate for you briefly. Just act by not acting and do by not doing. Oh, there's so much. I really could read this whole entire book here online. And I don't know if I get some people requesting it, and I just might. But also, we want to talk about another really, really important part of the Noble Eightfold Path that I think gets glossed over probably the most. And that is right livelihood. Right livelihood. So I'll go ahead and read this excerpt. The Tao Te Ching was written 2,500 years ago. By the way, it's about the same amount of time it was when the Buddha or Siddhartha Gautama wrote the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, so the Tao Te Ching was written 2,500 years ago. In many respects, the world is now a very different place. Thanks to advances in society and technology, transportation and communication, and the emergence of the global economy. Yet in others, the world is much the same as it was in the warring states period. And for all, we are still all fighting wars, still thirsty after power and status, and still obsessed with the acquisition of wealth and possessions. In that respect, the timeless wisdom that lies at the heart of the Tao Te Ching is just as relevant today as it was 2,500 years ago. Embrace simplicity. Put others first. Desire little. I'll read that again. Embrace simplicity. Put others first. Desire little. I align that with right livelihood. It could have also gone with right action. But I want to emphasize in every way possible that I can imagine that our livelihood, what we set out to do every day, what we get up and get dressed, and what drives us to leave the house, what drives us to keep going every day, is largely involved with the livelihood that we have. Some of us have gone out and chosen the livelihood that we have, and some of us has kind of just fallen into our laps. But it's still the responsibility of the individual. I'm going to always refer back to the individual, you, me. It is up to you, it is up to me to make sure that we are contributing to the right livelihood, right? And for each person, they know what that is. And right livelihood for each person might look a little bit different. And if you would like to leave a comment on maybe what your job is, and do you feel like that company is practicing right livelihood, please do so. I am fascinated to hear it. About a year ago, I was working at Total Wine, and I was hired to come on as in a management role, which was fine because obviously it made just a little bit more money than the other positions. But the problem that I soon realized, and it's funny because I think that was before I'd even come across the Tao Te Ching. The issue that I had soon realized was that maybe it didn't line up with right livelihood, the position of a supervisor. Now, everybody has to have a job in this world, in this day and time, but a lot of the job duties that were asked of me, they just didn't really sit right with me. So I'll give you a perfect example. Um, I had gone on as supervisor, and they told me that I needed to um, make sure that if somebody was late from their break, coming back from their break, that I spoke to them and let them know that they would be penalized. Um, Now, this is simple. Some people, this is okay with them. I'm just going to be really straight up and honest. I'm not. I'm not meant to wake up in the morning to clock somebody on being a minute late returning to break. That's not my purpose in life. I won't. I won't do it. I can't do it. If I have to do it, it won't last very long. Um, Again, right livelihood. Now I can see if a person is 10 minutes late on their break. The fact that the break is only 10 minutes really needs to be discussed. Like it really, really needs to just be, we need to stop there. But it's okay. Let's say you have an hour lunch break, okay, which is most people don't have anymore. Let's say you have an hour lunch break. Um, I'm not going to come hound you because you clocked in a minute late or 2 minutes late. I'm just not going to do it. Um, how much does it really matter? That's a whole nother conversation. Again, going back to right livelihood, what are we getting paid? It's hourly, sourly. Like a lot of these industries and companies are just doing whatever they want to do, and we need jobs, and so we're just left to deal with it. We definitely need more unions, unions. I am all for unions, and I am unemployed. Now, let's go ahead and mention really, really quick. And this is more of an overall statement. It doesn't necessarily apply to one aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path, but I do want to read it because it comes right after the last verse I just read. Without opening your door, you can know the whole world. Without looking out of your window, you can understand the way of the Tao. So all of this is not supposed to be tricky. It's not supposed to be super complicated. It's not supposed to go over your head. It's very, very, very basic and a really great, I'll say, a really great foundation for a healthy life in society. So that now goes further into the Tao Te Ching. And I will be doing some more reading on live. I will also be um, doing some reading of the new Tao Te Ching that I just received. So again, thank you to Scrivener Books for considering me because I love knowledge, I love information, and the book is absolutely beautiful. I just can't wait. I can't wait to really get into it and with my pencil and my brain and my ideas and my dictionary and I can't wait to share it with you all. So if you're seeing this, just like it, share it, please subscribe. If you're interested in my book based on the Noble Eightfold Path, it's called Calmness You, and it is available on Amazon. And I'll be around soon. Bye.